Hello, everybody. Welcome to the new moon in Cancer. So the irony is not lost that the Supreme Court has passed a horrible reversal of the Roe versus Wade at a time when we're at the sign of Cancer. Like, Cancer is the sign of the mother. And a new moon in Cancer, the moon and the sun in Cancer. You just don't get a more nurturing component than that. And it's just sort of a sad irony that that decision falls in this new moon phase. New moons also meaning new beginnings. You know, new beginnings aren't always implying that they're good. They're just new. It's up to us what we do with them. Before we get into this chart of this new moon, I just want to say, though, that I do really get a strong feeling that the protesting is going to be so fierce, they won't know what hit them. We're not the same world. We're not the same world at all. When they first tried to block these bills before or reverse them, we're not the same world. We've come too far with enjoying more diversity and more freedoms and rights than ever before. So why would everybody just go, oh, darn, oh no? No, they're not going to. People will fight. Women will fight. Women will organize. And that's the hidden side of Cancer no one talks about. We're always given this rap. I'm a Cancerian too. We're always given this rap that we're just vulnerable and crying all the time and sentimental, and as if mother energy is weak. Of course it's not weak. It's the strongest energy there is, or they wouldn't try to suppress it and control it so much. They wouldn't feel so threatened of it if it was weak. So that's the other twist about this decision falling in the sign of Cancer, because there's a fierceness to a mother that is protective and would die for their young, that is awakened when the situation warrants it. And so I think women are going to fight back and fight back hard. All right, let's look at our planets and see what's going on for this new moon besides this. And we'll just share the screen. Here we go. All right. So let's just start with the fact that this chart is done for North America. It's done, as you can see, I put New York City usually. So it's Eastern time zone, which means the rising sign and the houses would change depending where you are. Usually not dramatically, but it would change a bit. So, because I'm going to lean in heavily to a couple of these planets, you know, that are showing up on the rising sign and in the 12th house that are pretty important. But that won't be 100% accurate if your, you know, time zone is a few hours difference. So let's start down here where our sun and moon are at 7 degrees of Cancer in the 5th house. Now, more ironies. You know, these bills were passed in the Eastern time zone. Sun and moon in the 5th house. Well, the 5th house rules children. Just saying. It also rules romance and creativity. So sun and moon in Cancer in the 5th can be quite creative. Maybe you're feeling more motherly towards other people, your friends, your parents, your own kids, of course, your pets, other people's kids. You know, it's one of those, oh, you know, you just want to hug everybody kind of times. You just want to pet everybody's doggy. You keep an eye out for other people. You know, that's the protective motherly side that could come out. And if it doesn't come out in that way, then you might be tapping in to your creative side, and you might just be getting a lot of great ideas of what you'd like to do. And at its most basic level, Sun and Moon in Cancer in the 5th house, which is usually ruled by Leo. It's about being playful, having fun and being playful. So this might be a really nice new moon to lighten up and rest and find something to do that's fun. Cancer moon, Cancers can be really silly when we're relaxed. If you want to think of a good example of a silly Cancerian, Robin Williams is a Cancer. And look how goofy and silly he could get. I mean, when Cancers feel that people are listening and understand them, and it sets them off, they can be just like Robin. So you might be getting that silly, fun, playful side activated during the new moon too. So let's see what aspects it's making. And we have a square here to Jupiter and a square to Chiron, both in Aries. You know, the Sun square Jupiter could be a pretty strong, they're both cardinal signs, Aries and Cancer, so leadership signs. So squaring off in cardinal signs would tend to represent taking some action. Jupiter and Chiron and Mars is also there in Aries too right now. It's a very warrior-like, masculine, sort of blunt object type of energy, or that pioneering, go for it, jump in, you know, running off the cliff and diving before checking the water below kind of energy. You just do it. So it's contradicting the Sun and Moon in Cancer, which is more like, I don't know about this. Is it okay to come out of my shell? I'm getting a vibe. You know, the best case scenario with these, even though they're squaring off, would be if you know that you're super in tune with your intuition right now, you might be able to do something bold or a little more ballsy, a little more forceful or assertive than usual and get away with it. If you're hesitating and doubting, no, I wouldn't recommend that then. If you know that you're really in a strong flow and you're reading things well right now and you're seeing lots of synchronicities, stuff that shows you, yes, my intuition is on, then, like I said, you might be able to do something a little more risky than usual. You might, some people, you might need to tell people off. I don't know, but it's something just a little more Aries-like energy that you're not used to. And even though they're squaring, like I said, squares can be conflict, but they can also be action. They can be, you know, and often in action there is conflicts, like people are going to push back. If you decide, I'm going to do this, they go, why are you doing that? And there's usually oppositional forces when there's change. So, but all this Aries means that you might feel like you've got the guts. You might feel just fed up enough to do something bold or more risky or more blunt than usual. So you have to gauge that for yourself. If your life seems to be flowing pretty well right now, and you're like, you know what, I've been right about a lot of things lately, and I'm getting this feeling I got to do this. And yeah, some people won't like it, but I got to do it. Then I'd say it's a good time, go for it, because all that Aries might really propel you to fight or go beyond yourself in some way or bust through limits that are hard normally, it can give you that warrior mindset to do it, to just slice. Best word for Aries, really, I would say, is ruthless. And people go, oh, ruthless. Ruthless means you don't care. Not always, not always. Ruthless does mean you have to step out of feeling sorry for everything and everyone, and you have to look at a bigger picture and do the thing that will be best in the long run or for the group. It's sort of like that rip the band-aid off fast kind of moment. An old friend of mine said, and this was about gardening, but she was right. She said, sometimes you have to be ruthless. I was the kind, like Sun and Moon in Cancer, I was trying to save every plant, even though there's like 2 leaves hanging on in the middle of February. Oh, well, you never know. Well, I can't, I'll give it a chance. Don't want to kill the plant. And she looked at me and she saw that I was doing this with a few things that were just, the plants weren't strong enough really to make it. It wasn't efficient. It wasn't going to work. And she just said, sometimes you have to be ruthless. And I learned a lot from that. And now I make a judgment call a lot sooner about certain things. Now, you can apply that to plants pretty easily and see. But you can apply that to a lot of things that you're doing. You know, did you start some sort of plans? Did you set your mind on something or someone, and then very quickly, and you're like, this isn't what I thought. Well, do you just follow through with it because you feel guilty, or like you've got other beliefs going on that say you must finish what you start, or it's bad to quit, or it's a failure if you walk away in the middle, or whatever's going on for you. Most of us have some conditioning like that. So maybe it's time to be ruthless and just go, this isn't clicking. This isn't compatible. I thought I wanted, but now I don't. I changed my mind. It's okay. You know, maybe you need to be ruthless and just let yourself cut and stop. Something that just call it a day. Yeah, it might seem abrupt or blunt. Those planets are squaring off. So yes, people will not go, oh, that's perfect. You know, great. I'm so glad you quit and left me in the lurch. Oh, said your boss, you know, whatever. No, but it's not about that. Like it's about you recognizing, is it time for you to be a bit ruthless so that you can make some bigger changes, turn the corner, make yourself happier. It's all based on tuning into to being honest with yourself about your emotional needs, which is very much Moon in Cancer, is like, what are your emotional needs? How do you nurture yourself? What is your true nature? How can you make yourself happy? What actions do you have to take, even if they're a bit ruthless, to get there? You know, I recently had to do that. I'm still traveling. I'm going to go back to Canada in a few days. And I was at Airbnbs that were, you know, shared accommodations with ladies. And I've learned some big lessons about my nature on this trip, because I'm too much of an introvert to share space unless it's a very particular kind of vibe with the person, which is hard to find. It, you know, there's lots of people on the planet who are also gentle and calm or introverted or empaths, or give you your space or sense. It's an energetic thing when you feel your space or you don't. You know, you can sit there and go, well, and make checklists about, but I didn't do it, or but I only said, or whatever. These Airbnb ladies were just too needy, and I could feel it. I could feel their energy. Now, it's not their fault. They're not bad people, but just I don't enjoy that. I need my space. I immediately recognized, okay, I'm not getting, this isn't what I need. So I went to a different town and I got a hotel. And now that I have my space and my quiet, within 24 hours, I've restored my head and my heart is not racing, and all kinds of things that were happening because I was going against my nature, and judging sometimes, or thinking whatever, oh, I already paid for that room, or I don't want to offend this lady, or oh, she needs the money and now I'm leaving, and all kinds of empathic stuff that gets you entangled, to be honest, instead of being a bit ruthless and going, yeah, but what's good for me? I'm on vacation. I need to feel well. And so I left, I'm at a hotel and I feel 1,000 times better. Now I feel like I'm back on a vacation. So that's my example. Maybe you can think of something in your life. Think of where you're tolerating something. Where are you just tolerating? That's where to be ruthless. Where are you accommodating or going, oh, well, it'll pass, it'll get better, but you're not comfortable or happy? That's where you got to be ruthless. So some of you will be ready to do that and know what that's about. And if you're not, that's okay. You might see it in and around you from others. Let's take a look now at some other aspects here, because the only thing really, I focused a lot on that because that's our main aspect with the sun and moon. There are good angles here, but they're quite different. So looking next at, Mars is squaring Pluto. That's a bit concerning. But often that can be an outer influence, things that are going on. Again, Pluto's an outer, the outer planet. So it's talking about societal and generational changes and large changes, or earth shifts, geological, you name it. Pluto's just deep, like a deep volcano that we don't have control over. And it can every so often erupt and give us enormous energy or a lot of trouble. Mars and Pluto squaring is usually a sign you want to be careful of for, like, seismic activities, or unfortunately, protesting would be one maybe positive one, but there could be problems in the protest, or violence, or, accidents, stuff like that. However, sometimes it takes that to make things change, doesn't it? So with Mars and Pluto right now, it's just this whole ruthless thing that I'm saying. Just know that the conflict is in the air. The potential for a major upheaval is in the air if you choose to enact that. So if you do something bold, depends on what it is, but expect some pushback with Mars and Pluto. Otherwise, usually the caution is like, be careful of accidents, don't drive too fast, don't do anything too crazy physically if you're not used to it. You can overdo it. But I don't know. I'm not 100% sure where I would attribute this Mars Pluto right now. I think there's a lot of despair and anger in the air at the new laws that are being passed, and that applies in Quebec. It applies to language laws that are just being applied, that are oppressive and racist. Same thing with gun laws in the US, and it's all over the world. So wherever you're hearing this from, I'm sure there's some version of it. There's a lot of despair and anger about the direction of the world and the injustice of the world, perhaps more than there was before. I don't know. When they start reversing major things that take people's rights away at a time when we've just come out of a horrible time of COVID, and then you awaken and reemerge and people want to scoop your rights back again, it's very angering. and as it should be. So Mars and Pluto could also just be like a general anger that's in the air. But you know how that'll play out. That'll play out as people getting pissed off in lines, people road rage, losing your cool on an airplane, like you name it. That's how it plays out, unless people focus it on something they really want to do with it. All right. Now, as you see, there's quite a lot of red lines in this chart, meaning conflicts. So let's talk about the next one that seems to be hitting us, which is Saturn here. Well, Saturn is in Aquarius, and it's right on the ascendant right now, if you're in Eastern time zone. So Saturn on the rising sign is usually a very serious person. If somebody was born with this, we would usually see them sort of slimmer, more ectomorphic. You would see them seeming a bit older than their age. They would come across with like an old or serious tone or wisdom to them that others don't. And that's what gets projected forward for us to see. They could have injuries with the skeleton bones. When it's Aquarius, it rules more the shins and the lower legs. So, but I don't want to sit here and say, oh, we're going to see more of that or more injuries or anything like that. I would say Saturn on the rising could just give people a very serious demeanor. We might all be walking around with our grumpy face, or conversely, maybe just seeming very cold and detached because there's a lot going on. There's a lot being processed. It's not the most open, friendly ascendant. It's going to be smart and it's going to be social, but it's not going to bond. And that presents a little bit of a conflict with the sun and moon in Cancer, even though it's not really drawing at much of an aspect. It's sun and moon in Cancer wants to bond. That's what they're about, is like intimacy. And then Saturn in Aquarius is like, I don't have feelings. Huh? What? Yeah. So I don't know, maybe some of your issue or some of the ruthlessness that we're talking about is maybe you need that cold, detached face with certain people. Maybe you're being ruthless about who your tribe is, who's around you, who you speak with, how much interaction, how much do you share? Or maybe you'll be ruthless in the other direction and you want people who are open and transparent and will bond, and people that can't, you're just going to be like, all right, you're not my peeps. But that's another undercurrent that's there. Now Saturn is squaring off with Uranus and the North Node, which are in Taurus. Again, this has been ongoing, right? Each chart that we talk about, this square has been in the air for a while. So nothing terribly new to say about it. It's just forces that are both invested in things staying the way they want them. They're fixed, both stubborn. Saturn is, you know, the stronghold and the structure and the foundation and the patriarch planet. But in Aquarius, it's still a little more revolutionary. Taurus is usually your standby, you know, I want things to be nice and simple and comfortable and loyal and give me my paycheck and a good meal and that's it. But Uranus is the rebel in that sign now. So both of these signs are, I would say, uncomfortable right now. And they're squaring off. it just feels to me like this aspect is just showing this general malaise and discomfort that we're all feeling of like, I don't know what the world is anymore. I thought I did. Oh, look, something's changing. Oh, maybe I could do that then. Oh, now it's changing again. And to me, it's like a square that's going to be around a little while longer. And it's just like sort of constipated feeling about where's the world going? And so where am I going in it? Oh, and that North Node, though, I keep harping on that because that does tell us where we need to be going, aiming for. And that would be more about classic Taurus energy. So trying to find where you can root, trying to be grounded about who you are, what you need, what your values are, so that you can recognize better where, when, with who, where you work, where do you need to root yourself for that new life, new stability, something that can last you. That's the goal, but it is hard right now with what's going on to get there, isn't it? All we can do is keep examining and being honest about our values, and the Cancer moon can help us get in touch with what our needs are, so that if you're honest about what you need, it's a lot easier to make decisions to support them. So where is the chart working nicely? Well, Saturn is making a nice angle. You see the blue line. It's making a trine with Mercury. So good time for lots of communicating and meeting people, networking, chatting, sharing ideas, all intellectual. But that does lighten it up. That lightens it up. There'll be lots of talk and debate and sharing and potential to bond deeper if you choose to, or it could just stay good conversations. That helps a little bit, even though it's Saturn. But you know, it might lead you into some more serious or deeper or more interesting conversations. Pluto up here in Capricorn is making a nice angle with Venus down here in Gemini. Pluto trining Venus, well, honestly, sometimes that just gives me more of a feeling of being a little bit scattered in your desires, or maybe even a bit greedy or lusty. Pluto is so intense, and Venus is like, oh, I want this. Ooh, this tastes good. I want, and Pluto is like, puts power and puts like seduction and transformation into the pile. But Venus is in Gemini, so it's like, well, that would be cool, or maybe I'll do this, or maybe that, or this would be fun, or I need 5 of those. Yeah, but Venus in Gemini likes to reinvent itself and be playful. Yeah, just getting a bit of that might be a fun thing to express, but it also could lead you a bit down to the road of temptation I'm feeling here. But it is where the energy is flowing. I would venture even to say some people are coping with this uncertainty with their pleasures. Let's just leave it at that. Yeah. Where else is the chart working nice? Not so many places. Neptune is going in a trine here with the South Node in Scorpio. Both water. Honestly, that just gives me a feeling of like a lot of people will just react to all the change going on with like spacing out, just like too much, can't think about that. Just the The ultimate thing about that, though, is some people might just space out, like dissociate, because there's too much happening. And other people might really be transcending and getting vision and even getting strong dreams, resolving something for yourself, or raising your frequencies and all of that stuff. That's a super spiritual aspect. The Sun trine South Node in Scorpio, Pisces, like it's so watery and it's so past life related that yeah, some of you will be on that side of the fence. All of it's good, honestly. It really just depends where you're at, what you want to make use of. Only thing I get from looking at this chart is just, we know the pitfalls of getting overly passionate. It's a fine balance, right? To have enough passion and will that you go do something without getting into like that zone of forcing things or being addicted or letting your passions out in an unhealthy way, like greed and anger and super impatience and stuff. So there is a bit of that in the air for those of you who are in more that ruthless zone to just be cautious of. But yeah, overall, I honestly, I have to say this new moon just feels like a messy time, messy and overwhelming. As you know, if you follow me on all these years of sun and moon videos, some charts really do seem to have a strong calling or theme to them or coherence to them, and others really don't. And this one just feels very dispersed. So we'll go to the cards now and we'll see what that can tell us, perhaps. All right, make sure it's still recording. Yes, it is. Okay, I'm on a new laptop and it's doing weird things that I normally don't get when I'm on my computer at home. So sorry for that weird little pop-up message. All right, we're going to go to our cards. So I will tell you a sort of a funny thing that happened on my travels, since it's related to this. So I started out in London. As many of you might know, I did a book launch for my book. Ta-da, vibes from the other side. I did a book launch in London at the Atlantis Bookshop. And now the owner there is, the owners, and one of them, the mother, is writing the book right now on Aleister Crowley. And Aleister Crowley knew I think the founder of that shop. So we're going back 100 years ago. He would have passed through those doors. He's the creator of the deck, the Thoth deck that I've been using since 1993, before I knew anything about the man. And he's quite controversial, and he's interesting, and he's dark, and he's brilliant. It's all at once. So for me, that seemed like quite a big deal. I've been using his deck and I end up at a place where he was, literally, physically. Flash forward through all the trip. I end up saying at the end of Edinburgh, I was like, I need a beach. I need to go be by the sea, and I needed to cleanse a lot of the intensity of the dark history I was learning in York and in Bath, York, everywhere, but Edinburgh particularly felt heavy. So I just said, okay, where should I go for a beach? Let's look somewhere new. And I remembered meeting a girl along my journey who was sitting outside in Bath, and she was from Canada, and she had moved to the UK, and she said to me she was attracted to going to check out Hastings. She heard good things. And then when I was choosing a beach, I asked a friend who's an intuitive. I said, do you have a vibe where I should go next? And she heard Sussex. And I looked and I'm like, look at that. That's exactly where the Hastings is. So I go. I find my way, long story, but anyway, I found my way to Hastings, or a place called St. Leonard's by Sea, which is right beside it. Now, I find out on day 2, as I'm walking along the beach and there's a guy who's just drumming by the beach, I stop and I said hello. After talking to him for about an hour, he tells me that Aleister Crowley died in Hastings. I was like, oh my gosh. I started my beginning where he had a beginning, and I end my journey where he had his end. I did not go see the building where it happened. After I learned that, I felt like there was a lot of darkness around the town. Maybe just because of what I know about him, but there's a story that he cursed the people of Hastings when he died. And basically because they wouldn't give him, the doctor wouldn't give him any more opium. He was addicted at the end. And he was in a house living in poverty. Now, who knows why he chose Hastings, because it's quite an intense place. It's where William the Conqueror landed in 1066. Obviously, there's the Battle of Hastings that happened there. It's got a heavy history, and it still has a lot of aggressivity. Like from what locals told me, there's still a lot of bar fights that'll break out, and there's something to it. And so basically, he was on his deathbed begging for opium, and the doctor told him no, and he cursed the town, and he said something like, anybody who's born there will never leave, and if they leave, they'll always come back. Sort of like a weird Hotel California feeling. And he said the only people that could ever leave would be if they find a stone with a hole in it. And I was on the beach and I found a stone with a hole in it. I have an Instagram reel where I showed it. I was like, this is too crazy. Anyway, for me, this is all pretty cool since it's connected to the deck I used. Let's take a look now at the cards for this new moon and hope it's a little more insightful for us. All right. So the first card is the Ace of Wands, which is always like a burst of energy and will and fire in you, you know. It's like a rocket launcher. So all that says is that it just says a burst of will or a burst of energy. You'll have to see where it goes next, what we do with it. And we have the Eight of Wands. So swiftness, Mercury and Sag. It's usually a card of traveling, actually, moving quickly. It can be flying, it can be flights, but it could also be driving or bouncing around or just always being on the go. But usually there's a sense of traveling and adventure when it's Sagittarius. And even if it's not literally traveling, you might be adventuring in some way. It's uplifting though, you know. So this burst of will and passion of the Ace of Wands might lead you to expansive ideas or plans. And you'll act on them more quickly. This isn't like a hurry up and wait. This is more like a, I feel it'll do it quick kind of card. Gosh, all this fire, look at this. Next is the Prince of Wands. So this is, you know, as you can see, a very confident person. He almost looks like, I don't need to hold the reins. I'm in control anyway. Ta-da! You know, he can be so confident that he can just wing it through life, you know. And sometimes he can be a bit arrogant because he's so confident. And that might be you, that might be someone else around you. It all depends. Like people like that usually can get what they want, and they seem to have the sun shining up there. You know what? I mean, somebody you know, or you might be in a phase like that where you can sort of just jump and not plan it things too much, and it just works and you're lucky. Like you're on a roll kind of thing. Yeah. 7 of Cups. So 7 of Cups is debauchery. Well, based on the other cards, you want to just make sure that you don't overdo it. This would definitely be like, this card shows up usually for addictions, sometimes for STDs and affairs and seedy kind of operations. It's a swamp. It's Venus in Scorpio. It desires to control everything. It desires desire itself. It leads down the path, you know, difficult path. So after all of this fire, that's just a cautionary tale. Like you can't get away with everything or wing it forever, or you can't keep indulging in just more without hitting this card. So we'll see what else comes up around it. Ooh, Justice. Well, you might be stopped. Of course, this could again be someone around you, but the behavior or whatever gets out of hand looks like it will be stopped officially. This is the card of the law, usually. Paperwork, restraining order, custody agreement, DIY, stop it. You know, something's officially going to come and say no. So, you know, again, just careful not to overindulge, or if you're around people that are. And then we got the Prince of Swords. He's usually a pain in the butt. Usually like a con artist type of guy, very clever, but trickster guy kind of guy. Hard to say how that factors in right now. I have to pull more cards, but just keep him in mind if you know anyone around like this. Fast talking. Yeah, not consistent, not trustworthy. A hanged man. Well, hangman is like a slow transition, day by day. It's funny because this almost gives me a feeling like of somebody almost being stalked or jailed or fined, this Prince of Swords, for certain behavior. Yeah, this is so specific. I can't say this is happening to everyone as a general reading. I don't know where this is going to come up, but that's what the cards would say. After, you know, the law or the official, you shall stop this, sir, kind of behavior, or madame, but somebody trying to get out of it, weasel their way out of things, talk their way out of something. They can't. Not with the hangman, they're stuck. Could that be somebody incarcerated? Yeah. Could that be somebody that just suddenly now their circumstances are very limited and stuck and they can't do much about it? Could it be a depression because they can't get away with what they wanted? Yeah. Interesting. Oh, 9 of Swords. Cruelty card. Manipulation, verbally abusive, scheming, not very nice. Yeah, looks like whoever this is or whatever that represents needs to be caught. Yeah. And the 9 of Wands. Yeah, they'll be held in place strongly it's sort of, to me, this feels like the law or reason or morality wins over the cruelty. What a weird reading as a general reading for everybody. So this is definitely not going to apply to everyone listening. Think about, okay, it's not happening in and around you. Think about watching the news. This could be a more broad theme of someone public. But the general feeling here is that somebody is being stopped finally, and they will not get away with it. Please, please. Well, we'll have to watch the news for this and see if this is in the air, because that would be, if it's long overdue, that would be good. We'll see. All right, let's take a look for everybody's sign now. And definitely will make it much more accessible and personal for you. The question, I would say, because of the moon in Cancer, what do you need to do to be ruthless right now and honor your needs? What area of your life? Yeah. All right. So Aries, where do you need to be more ruthless and take care of yourself? Princess of Cups. Okay, this right away tells me you're more sensitive than you let on. You're more affected by things emotionally than you let people see. This talks to me about like your inner child side, or listening to those childhood wounds. So just paying more attention and taking action that protects that inner child. So for example, if, even though you're fine now, you're a high functioning person, you're an adult, but something still triggers you pretty badly that goes back to a childhood issue. The ruthlessness would be to maybe remove yourself from the trigger, and not suffer, protecting that vulnerable side of you even more than you are. All right, Taurus. Very nice. You've got the nurturing Empress card, the mother card right there. So how do you nurture yourself more right now? Well, you mother yourself. This is just so, it's almost so obvious. It's not a reading. You need to mother yourself. Yeah. So it would basically say you put other things aside in favor of your own self-care and self-nurturing. If you need to be alone, you're alone. If you need to cook a lot of food and sit around eating it, well, that's what you got to do. If you want to say no to stuff that people are asking, then you do. Yeah, you sort of ruthlessly mother yourself. Geminis. Jupiter in Libra. How do you nurture yourself right now? Well, you need, this is always like socializing, networking card. So you need people. I mean, that seems like a no-brainer to tell a Gemini, but Gemini, you can, as you know, you can go both ways. You can be hyper social, and then you can be in your cave, or needing your downtime, and maybe you know, if you've been isolating a bit again, if you're feeling cranky or irritable or anything, or maybe it could also mean just that it's socializing and having fun with people, but they have to be the right people for you to feel good. So it'd be like ruthless about who you're around, what you enjoy talking about, and networking, which doesn't to me always have to mean working. You know, like we're not talking about Chamber of Commerce meetings. We're just saying like, get out and meet new people, expand your horizons, see what could happen, collaborate. That's what you need right now. Cancers. 5 of Wands. Well, this is definitely the ruthless card then. Saturn in Leo. Saturn in Leo is someone who needs to learn to balance their ego and to balance putting themselves first, letting themselves shine, letting themselves lead. Cancer usually doesn't feel comfortable being in the spotlight. So this means for you, most likely it's going to be let yourself take some spotlight. But this card usually is talking about conflicts. So you might need to fight a bit. You might need to push or dominate or do something a little crazy to take your spotlight that you deserve, kind of thing. Like literally you might be like, off my stage. Something like that. And that could be anything that you're tired of, where it's like, excuse me, I'm the one speaking. Whatever it is your moment. Like it's a bit of a diva moment for a Cancer, okay? That's what you need to heal. Wow, what a message is that, eh? Leos. Oh. 3 of Swords. Well, what you need to heal right now is to grieve. Sorry to say that. So I'm not sure on what level, whether you've lost someone, whether you still miss someone, whether you're in mourning, anything, you've got to give yourself space to let out the feelings, or it will build up and cause problems. You know, can affect your heart, literally. Leo rules the heart. So let yourself have a period of mourning or grieving for whatever and whoever. Yeah, don't try to suppress it. Let yourself feel it. All right, Virgos. Knight of Wands. Well, you're ready to go do something big. You're ready to like shout from the hilltops or announce things or initiate something. You're ready to start. Yeah, this is highly motivated. And this is just charging in there with confidence, knows what it's doing. So if there's something that you've been thinking and planning secretly for a long time and you just haven't launched it, maybe it's time to launch. You know, it's bold. So your form of ruthlessness for self-care is like, start something, announce something, take charge of something, be bold with it. That's a fun one. That's a fun one. Okay, I need some water now. All right, Libras. Ace of Swords, that's nice. What do you need for self-care? How can you be ruthless? Well, Ace of Swords is a very clear idea, or a clear stance, or a clear thing that you say. Usually it's mental clarity. Well, you're probably sitting there going, well, how can I get that? I don't have that. If you are. So it's sort of like you decide, I know Libra, but you decide that something that you want or something you think is right. We're not saying everything in life, but pick something where you feel like strong about it and decide on just one thing. I'm right about this. That's an active revolution right there sometimes. You know, if you've been around, I don't know, let's say people that are gaslighting you all your life, and you suddenly say, this is gaslighting, this is BS, and I'm right. Well, that's mental clarity. That changes, that's going to start to change a lot of things in your life. Maybe it's something or someone that you see through, and you just decide, like, I'm right about this. You know, or maybe you're comfortable with where you stand on an issue. Finally, you've just thought it through so much. You don't need to keep rehashing it. You say, I'm right. That's where I stand. That would be a very healing thing for you to do. And it will give you a lot of mental energy, even probably emotional, physical energy, to just stop the hamster wheel on something and decide that you're right. All right, Scorpios. 10 of Cups, so a little overwhelmed, little fuzzy brain, little burnt out, maybe tired, too much on the plate, too many emotions swirling. Your self-care would be to rest, admit that you're a little bit burnt out or overwhelmed, and rest. Simplify or let go of some things, delegate some things, but mainly to try to just rest your mind, rest your body. Yeah, this for me is always my burnout card, so it's always very clear what you need to do. So yeah, I mean, it's a good time of year with summer to let yourself just go lie under a tree or sit by a fountain or something, walk in the forest, but let everything you've been absorbing and thinking about settle a little bit. You won't really have much clarity until you do. All right, Sag. Queen of Cups. Okay. So your radical, ruthless self-care is again related to like a mothering type of card. Sensitive and dreamy and reminiscing a lot in the past, and intuitive and in tune. I wonder whether this is someone around you versus you, someone that you could go to bounce things off. I'm getting a feeling you need to make some big decisions, and you'd have better results and feel better about the decision if you bounce it off of someone like this than very intellectual or masculine energy type of person, which can be women too. We're not talking male, female. We're just saying masculine energy, like go for it, problem solve, you know, give advice, bang, 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 bang. This is what you got to do. Action, action, action. You'll have better results if you're with someone who's listening and a little more quiet, and maybe says, I don't know, I'm getting a feeling when I listen to you about like this, does that make sense? And maybe they just stimulate something on a softer, more psychological level that helps you resolve something with your decision. So you need a gentle presence in your life. Yeah. Capricorn. Ah, look at that. There's the king. Had the queen and now the king. So similar type of message is, you know, we're in your opposite sign right now. So it's your tired, sort of lower time of year when we're in Cancer. So Capricorn, you need also, and this is like a Cancer man. Usually it's a very sensitive, emotional, fatherly, protective, kind of romantic kind of guy. And I'm getting a feeling what you need right now is hope, hopefulness. You need someone around who brings you a sense of being uplifted, seeing something positive for the future, and has like a gentler outlook on life than you might. So again, it feels like it's not so much you, it's someone that you need around in order for you to go forward. You need someone who sort of brings you the light, you know, and brings you gentleness and listens and is soft with you. Again, processing some old emotion is the feeling I get for Capricorn. Processing some really old experiences. Yeah, otherwise I get a feeling more of stability around you, but you're going deeper. And again, the king and the queen of cups are sort of like excellent counselors or therapists type of person to look for. And that can be in so many forms, but that's sort of what you need right now. Aquarius. 8 of Swords. All right, so you got to stop overthinking. That's just crystal clear with this card. Jupiter and Gemini. Too many options, too many what ifs, too many things going on at once in your mind. Too much worry. What you need is to stop thinking now. Easier said than done. But how do you stop thinking when you're in this state? Honestly, it's hard because usually we're sort of addicted to our analysis with this when this shows up. And you need to do other things with your time than trying to solve what you think you need to solve. You're at a point where you've been thinking so much now you can't even solve it. If you read one more article on the same topic, it's not going to help. What you need is the antidote to that. So let's say it's a problem and you've been reading about it and you can't get an answer no matter how much you ask people, Google or whatever. So the answer, the antidote or the ruthless action is to just stop looking, stop asking, stop reading. It's to get out of your head. So being in nature is good for that. Walk in the woods, walk on the beach, get in the water, hold some rocks, walk barefoot in the park, ground yourself, don't make plans, whatever it takes, but you've got to get out of your head right now for things to go better. All right, and finally, Pisces. Well, that's nice. So you definitely have the playful, joyful side of the reading here, and Neptune is still in your sign and it's trining the south node, so you might be feeling pretty good. You might be feeling lots of flow and lots of dreams and visions and intuition coming to your life. But this definitely is. You need the sun and you need to be out, you need to be playful, you need to be joyful, you need to be doing fun things with other people or with your dog, I don't care, but you just need to get out and feel like I'm having fun. This is fun. This isn't work. This isn't just toleration. This isn't just surviving, it's fun. And fun will be the thing that changes your life the most. Yeah, what a nice way to leave it off. Well, as usual, if you want a private reading, I mean, if you've watched all the way to the end, maybe you haven't, but the links for that will be in the video below. And I'm still working online, but a little bit in person now too, now that we're summertime. And I've got some new things coming up once I get back from my trip and I've had a bit of rest. There's some new things I'm going to add to my roster here. So I hope everybody has a good new moon, and try to just set whatever intentions you need for changing your life to take care of yourself better. That's all we can do in uncertain and strange times. All right, you have a great day. See you at the full moon in July.